Let's try to make the fantasy fans out there some moolah and talk about favorite fantasy values tied to the New England Patriots. Let's start off with Drake May. So right now, the average draft position in drafts conducted the last couple of weeks at best ball 10s. May is going to quarterback 17, 131.52 overall. So, PJ, I ask you the question. Quarterback 17, is Drake May overvalued, undervalued, or do you feel he's properly valued?
I think he's undervalued, Brad. I think Drake May is some of the biggest upside of any player in fantasy football this season. Just because we don't know what he is. Like, the skill set's there, the dual threat ability is there, obviously the passing, but also the running, the yards, the touchdowns that he can get you. And we know how Vrabel's teams want to play, right? Run the ball, play action, off of that, explosive plays, lean on the defense. And that's how he's going to build this team. So the reason why the Patriots win total is at 8.5, the reason why people think that they could be a potential playoff team is because of the upside of Drake May. I mean, when you're talking quarterback 17, you're talking like middle of the pack. I mean, Drake May obviously is a top 3 pick, has top 10 upside type potential if he turns into the player that I think a lot of people think he can be this season. So I look at QB 17, Brad, and certainly he could go through some growing pains again this season. Maybe he isn't as good as we all suspect he is, but I think the upside is more so better than what the downside could be. So I think he's undervalued at quarterback 17.
I concur with you, Captain. I'm looking it up right now, thegamingjuice.com. I have my position ranks always updating there and always free. Check it out, thegamingjuice.com. I have Drake May at quarterback 14. And I think I may be undervaluing him a little bit, even at that ranking. I think he's a guy that's got to toe the line of the quarterback top 12 because of the scoring duality that he possesses. He's a guy that can definitely gain some of those appreciable yards on the ground. You look at Mike Clay's got him projected for 3,243 passing yards, 20 passing touchdowns, 11 INTs. Okay, that's not the sexiest line, but when he throw in 2, Clay's got him forecasted for 511 rush yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. That balloons the value. Now, Clay's only got him at quarterback 17. I think he's going to be much better than that. The strength of schedule is tough, the 7th toughest among any fantasy quarterback entering the regular season. But last season, impressive, especially under pressure. He was number 5 in under pressure completion rate. Decent number 16 in red zone completion rate. You add Stephon Diggs. I know he's coming off the ACL injury, but man, he looks springy and spry in OTAs, voluntary OTAs. Yesterday, May was also 17 fantasy points for dropback. Again, I think he is going to be teetering on the QB1 line and 12-team leagues. Got him at quarterback 14. He is undervalued at quarterback 17. How about the Ohio State product who's already got some buzz in rookie minicamp and in OTAs, TreVeyon Henderson? The price tag RB22 right now at 94.60. So I ask you again, is TreVeyon at RB22 overvalued, undervalued, or properly valued?
I think he's a little overvalued, Brad, and that's not saying that TreVeyon might not be one of the bigger surprises of the season. That's not saying he couldn't get himself in the offensive rookie of the year conversation. As I was just talking about with Drake May, we know how Vrabel wants to build his teams, right? Derrick Henry's a Hall of Famer because of what he did with the Titans, how he was able to carry that team year after year, and there's a reason why they got TreVeyon, big body running back who can carry the ball 25, 30 times a game, can get you the tough yardage. That's the kind of Vrabel player. But Ramondre is also the kind of Vrabel running back. So I think they're just going to kind of ride the hot hand. It's tough to know who's going to be the lead guy. There might be some weeks where it could be Ramondre. There could be others where it could be TreVeyon. So I think kind of the boom bust, Brad, week to week at running back 22 makes him, for me, a little bit overvalued.
Yeah, I think he's overvalued too. Slightly, though. I have him right now at RB24. Now, what is intriguing about him is the pass-catching upside. But you have to ask yourself, well, you already represented it, is like, what is the RBB split going to look like? Is it going to be 60-40? Is it going to be close to 50-50? Is TreVeyon going to be favored like 55-45? That's TBD. And I think a lot of that will be assessed come training camp. So it's very much in the air. You can, ascertain and surmise your own beliefs on what it's ultimately going to be. But I think people are believing that TreVeyon Henderson's going to be the guy. And I would say not so fast, my friend, to go Lee Corso on you. Now, a guy's got phenomenal vision, excellent hands. He was number 22 among all FBS running backs in missed tackle force last year. Number 3 in yak per attempt at 4.63. Number 8 in breakaway runs. Those runs are 15 more yards. It's tracked to Pro Football Focus. I love the skill set. Clay's got him forecast at 174 carries, 775 rush yards, 5 rushing touchdowns, 35 catches, 267 and 2, only at RB 34. I think he'll be better than that. I think he's going to be a back-end RB2, but I don't think he's going to be towing the line of the top 20 where this current ADP suggests. So you're paying a bull market price for Travion Henderson. Let's go to Stephon Diggs. All the controversy aside, wide receiver 48, 134.43. At that price point, overvalued, undervalued, or properly valued, PJ?
I think he's probably properly valued, Brad. That feels about right with Diggs. Obviously not the player he was in Minnesota, not the player he was with Buffalo. He's coming off the injury. Now he's got all these offseason distractions with Cardi B and everything going on here as of late. I think with Diggs, Brad, it's more so going to be about the receiving touchdowns for him. I think it's going to be about he's going to be the third down guy, right? They're bringing him in for what they hoped was leadership, kind of a veteran presence in that locker room. Hasn't maybe worked out the way they would hope, but I think Diggs, obviously these days of him having these games where he would go for 10 catches for $150 and 2 touchdowns, I don't think those are happening anymore. So, Diggs is going to be the kind of guy that I think you're going to draft late in rounds. You're going to put on your bench. You're going to plug him in during bye weeks. He's certainly not going to be like a starter for you. At least you hope. You hope your team doesn't have too many injuries. I more so view him, though, as like a guy that I would bet anytime touchdown prices with, stuff of that neighborhood. I wouldn't bet his receiving prop for the season. I probably wouldn't draft him in too many leagues, but I think at 48, Brad, that feels right. 48, 51, somewhere in that neighborhood.
I think he's undervalued. I got him at number 40, and I may move him up a little bit higher. He really impressed me based on the film that I saw out of OTAs yesterday. He looks well ahead of his recovery schedule from that torn ACL, which he suffered in week 8. There's speculation he might start the training camp season on the PUP. I think he's going to dodge that. And I think he's going to be a catch accumulator. He's still got phenomenal separation skills. He was number 8 among all wide receivers last season, and granted, he only played 8 games, in route win percentage. So he is a guy that's still slippery, still excellent on his breaks. The route running is still supreme. He may be a nickel damer to go Billy Raft on you. He only averaged 10.6 yards per reception a season ago, but if you can get that separation, I think he's a guy that could catch 75, 80 balls. Clay's got him for 100 targets, 70 catches, 768 and 3. He was number 21 in fantasy points per game and a half-point PPR last season with the Texans in those only 8 games played. Yes, he has the toughest strength of schedule of any fantasy wide receiver out there, but I think he's going to be a catch accumulator. So I think he's going to definitely best his wide receiver 48 price. I think he's a top-flight option off the bench, drafting him as a WR4 or WR5 in 12-team leagues, so I say undervalued. All right, Hunter Henry. We'll finish the fantasy conversation here. Tight end 23, 188.29 at that price point. Overvalued, undervalued, or properly valued, PJ?
No, I think Hunter Henry's undervalued, Brad. It's tight end 23, I think that's way too high. I think he should be more so like tight end 15, 16, somewhere in that neighborhood. Look, he only had the 2 touchdowns last year. He had 97 targets, and he had 66 receptions, right? That was with Jacoby Brissett starting earlier in the year. We all know a young quarterback's best friend is the security blanket over the middle of the field, and Hunter Henry. He's been an NFL veteran for a long time, so as long as he stays healthy, I think he's going to score more touchdowns, Brad. I would pencil him in for maybe like 4 or 5 touchdowns this year. I think he gets you again like 60 receptions, somewhere in that neighborhood. So we know tight ends in fantasy football nowadays. I mean, we all thought Laporta was going to be awesome last year. That ended up not happening. Trey McBride couldn't get a touchdown until like the final 2 weeks of the season. So tight end's tough to find, man. It's going to be a lot of guys like Hunter Henry, but I think his quarterback that he has, and again, the potential upside of Drake May, could lead to a potentially surprising year maybe for Hunter Henry. So for me, really, the sell on Henry is Drake May and what kind of year he has, and because of that, I think if we think May is undervalued, I think we got to think that Hunter Henry is a little undervalued as well.
I think he's properly valued. I mean, they make a strong argument. Some of the secondary analytics offer support around you. I mean, he had 6.1 targets per game, number 6 in total air yards, and number 7 in total red zone targets among plus size targets last year. But gut feeling says 10 and 23 is exactly right. All right, let's do a little prop stop. Give me your thoughts on that. Drake May, over or under 19 and a half passing touchdowns, minus 110 either direction. What do you say?
Oh, man. Yeah, I'd probably go over if I had to. 20 feels doable for Drake. I think he's going to be in that low 20 range. So at 19 and a half, Brad, especially minus 110 each way, I'd probably take that. I think I'd go over 19 and a half.
I think he gets exactly 22 over comfortably on 19 and a half at a minus 110 juice. How about Ramondre Stevenson over under 725 and a half rush yards, working in tandem with Travion Henderson, a minus 115 either direction on that one.
Feels under to me for Ramondre. I certainly think he's going to be a big a part of the offense this season. Vrabel's going to want to run the ball. He'll use him and Travion. But they did draft Travion to be their running back of the future. They're going to give him opportunities. I think he's the guy who could have the more explosive games this season. So I'll go under on Ramondre.
I think it's going to be closer to like 55, 45, 50-50, so under. He had 63.8% of the opportunity shared last year. I don't think he gets there. Last one quickly. Stephon Diggs over under 750 and a half receiving yards, minus 110 on the over or the under.
I'll go under. I told you with Diggs, I'd rather take the receiving touchdowns. I don't want the yardage. I don't think he's going to get that much, so I'll go under 750 on Diggs.
Even if he miss a couple of games, he's got to catch at least 800 this season, I believe. So I'll take the over. Last one, team lean over under 8.5 wins, minus 115 the over, minus 105 and the under. Go.
Love the under. The Patriots were favored in 0 games last year, Brad. They're favored in 11 this year. Why? And that the win total's reflected in that. I'm going under.
It sounds like a puzzling thing. It's a head scratcher, but I'm going to take the over. I think they win 9 games. All right, we got to take a little siesta here on BetMGM Tonight. We come back. We're going to review our cards. Stick around. This is BetMGM Tonight on the BetMGM Network.
Don't go anywhere. You're listening to BetMGM Tonight on the BetMGM Network.